seems like we keep coming up with this with various, social media companies. TikTok is having an issue right now where their moderators, because TikTok is when you think about how many people are looking at TikTok videos, people are trying to sneak all kind of crazy stuff into TikTok videos. So they have to have human moderators to go and look at this stuff and make decisions on things. And one of the things that is, apparently problematic for TikTok right now is that they're actually showing their moderators child pornography to train them on what child pornography is. And I want to say, didn't we? I can't remember if we talked about it on this show or if I just heard about it on the show, but didn't on Facebook not too long ago, didn't they have some issues like this as well, where they were, like they actually had employees who were saying that they were having like, mental, they were having, they needed mental help ultimately because they were seeing stuff that was so horrific that it was causing them, to have problems. And it's like, that was like a public story. I remember that being pretty big when that came out. And it's like TikTok, you would think that you could have learned something from Apple, who went before you in this area.
Well, according to TikTok, they said their training materials provide textual descriptions, but not visual examples of child sexual abuse material, but added that it worked with external companies that could have unique practices. So basically, what TikTok is saying is, we as a company, we don't rock like that, but we may hire some contractors and we ain't all in their business like that. So whatever them contractors, moderators decide to do, that's on them. Our policies are this, but at the same time, we don't be checking for them like that.
So
Again,
basically, the exact same thing that Facebook was doing, because that's what Facebook was doing as well. It's like this is I see where the issue is, but to me, it seems like if there is child pornography, you have to actually be able to know how to pull that out. But are you hiring the right people that if they see that they don't just know that that's something that you shouldn't be doing? Do they actually need to read it and be inundated with it? Because
it's not just reading it, right? So the issue is there are people either working for these contractors, or there are people inside of TikTok saying that they're showing us videos of sexual acts against children, and that is what's taking the cake. It's one thing to read some terrible content. It's one thing to to hear it, but to actually have to sit down and watch a video of a sex act against a child, that is the problem. And according to, again, like I said, let me read the story. Whitney, a former Teleformance employee, which I think is the contractor that TikTok hires. Her name is Whitney Turner. She told Forbes she worked at the company for more than a year and left in 2021. So this is not years ago. This is last year. Turner says she had access to a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet was called Daily Required Reading, or the DRR, which was accessible by hundreds of Teleformance and TikTok employees. The spreadsheet had examples of content, examples, not just this is the type of content that you'll see. The exact content prohibited by TikTok. It included images of naked and abused children, she told the outlet. So it's one thing to see, okay, this is what you don't do. You should not hammer a nail this way, right? And you look at the video and you look at the picture, say, yeah, you shouldn't hammer a nail that way, right? It's a whole other thing to see a video of a child or an image of a child and say, yeah, that is bad content. That makes sense. But at the same time, where did they get the video? Whose child is that in the video? Do these parents know that their children are being subjected to this for the sake of learning how to moderate? I don't think no parent is going to be like, yeah, for the greater good, sure. Use my child in this crazy, horrible, terrible video to train people not how to flag and remove stuff off of TikTok. Nobody wants that. So that's where the problem is. It's like, how I get it. You want to be able to train people, but there's got to be a better way than making child sex pornography daily required reading. You know what I'm saying? That's just twisted.
That's the part that is getting me. It's like this wasn't videos that you were actually catching, and then you start to feel some kind of way about, oh man, this stuff that I'm seeing is horrible. This is like,
Mhm.
no, we want you to go look at this horrible
This is
stuff so that you
this
can
is in the
recognize it
handbook.
more easily.
This is an employee
Um,
handbook.
and it's like, so Ray just says in our chat, are you not also witnessing a crime
Yeah, you
when
are.
you watch these videos? And the answer
You
is yes, because it's child
it,
pornography.
this reminds me of all the movies to where you got the undercover cop and he is deep undercover and he is has to join a gang and the gang is moving all these drugs and they're committing all these crimes and they're doing all these things. But the ultimate goal of the undercover cop is to get this kingpin. So, in order to get close to the kingpin, in order to get him, you have to witness or partake in some of these crimes. This is what this reminds me of, to where it's like they're saying, you got to watch these videos in order to catch the bad guys. I'm like, but ain't y'all the bad guys because you showing me these videos?
Yeah, it's I'm just sitting here thinking, it's like there's got to be a better way. So, do you really have to train people to recognize child pornography? Is it like if like if you don't go through this training, are you having too many of your moderators who are letting stuff get through that isn't indeed child molestation or child pornography? Is that a real problem? It just seems to me like if you're hiring generally rational human beings,
Mhm.
and there's no political lean on this. You just hire somebody who has common sense, and you can kind of figure that out when you're going through your interview process. Could they recognize a child being raped as compared to a child not being raped? Hey, anytime it looks like children are being raped, you need to flag that. Is that,
Right.
can you just tell somebody that, or do you need to actually show them what child rape looks like?
In a perfect world, not even a perfect world, common sense would tell you yes. But again, this is the problem that all social media platforms are going to have when your primary product is user generated content. If you, as the company, are not generating the content itself, then you're going to run into this problem no matter if you got AI doing it. And we've talked about stories where AI gets it wrong, whether you have people sitting behind a computer and trying to catch all this stuff in a net, their stuff is going to slip through. Their stuff is going to slip through, and we're going to see it, and they're going to get in trouble with it. The question is, how hard are these companies willing to work to keep this stuff minimized as much as possible? I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you go about doing that. Common sense would lead me to believe. I'm pretty sure if you hire somebody, they know the difference between somebody taking a picture of their kids on a family vacation and they in the swimming pool and the kid don't have no clothes on versus some of the other sick stuff, right? You would think.
Yeah.
But again, who are they hiring? TikTok is are they American moderators? Are these people who are getting paid pennies on the dollar and are confined to a small room to where they're seeing all these images and they break down, and as a result, some of this stuff leaks. You got to take that in consideration. I'm pretty sure TikTok and whomever, Facebook, Instagram, whomever, you want to believe that they are putting forth every effort and are put in as much resources as possible to make sure the content that goes across their platforms is legit. But we know that's not the case.
Yeah, you know what? You made a good point a little bit ago, and I want to come back to it because I wonder this. And if there's anybody who's listening who can tell us how this works, how is it legal for TikTok to actually show employees things that are actual child pornography? That as Saray said, that, aren't you witnessing a crime when you are watching that? Yes, you are, and you're actually not just witnessing one; you're participating in it. You are knowingly going in and watching child pornography. That is also against the law. So what do they do? What how do is there a waiver? Is there is there a class you go take at the FBI? How are how is a company
And where
able
are
to
they getting the
say,
content
yeah,
from?
He's like, here's child pornography. We're going to show it to you so that you can actually recognize it. How does that actually, how does that actually happen? And, one of the things that's being asked here in our chat is that, this is a Chinese company. Are there different laws? I don't know what the laws are, and I don't know what the laws are here. I definitely don't know what they are outside of here. But this stuff is, these are things that moderators here are actually being asked to do. So it's just a really interesting story. And I would prefer that you just hire people that you have done enough due diligence in your hiring process that we think this person can actually recognize child pornography when they see it. We don't need to show it to them, so that they actually know, that something is. And by doing that, I would imagine that you're going to have a higher percentage of false flags. Of times when you flag something that would, this looks like pornography to me, and it actually wasn't. But I would rather that than having to be subjected to just watching actually, pornography. Once again, so Ray says this in our chat. If you have to watch this stuff over and over and over again, if you have required watching material that you need to go look at, eventually you become desensitized to that kind of stuff. It's, we hear about that kind of stuff all the time. It's like, when you're in these environments where you just see this kind of stuff over and over and over again, eventually it doesn't bother you that much. It's like, hopefully, most people are not desensitized to mass shootings, but they happen so often that we just don't think about them the same way, because we hear about them so often now. We just don't think about them in the same way that we, did. Like, and I'm just thinking back in the, in the 80s. It didn't seem like we had them that often. We had them. We just didn't have the internet to where you could just see wherever they were happening, anywhere. I would say around the world, but this is generally, happening here in the States. It does happen in other places, but it happens here. But it just happens so often. You hear of, school shooting. You hear of a bar, a bar or a club getting shot up. You hear of those things happening so often, you just kind of become desensitized to it. And I think you would see the same thing with this. If you just keep seeing these horrendous acts over and over and over again, at some point they don't bother you, as much, or they continue to bother you so much that you just can't function in that position anymore. And, you have caused yourself some other type of, issues just because of the things that you're seeing. So like I said, if anybody knows how this works, how does a company actually, legally show their employees pornography,
Well,
child pornography, I should say.
maybe they don't. In this story, the NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, um, a nonprofit organization founded in the 1980s. It serves as a national clearinghouse and resource center for information about missing and exploited children. According to the organization, companies like TikTok are legally required to report CSAM content found on their platforms, and they have to report it to this National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So there is some sort of regulations around this content. Again, of course, TikTok, and they say, we don't have any of this. Let me read the actual Akash Pergalia. I'm pretty sure I torched his name. A global president of trust and safety at Teleperformance told Forbes it did not use explicit videos of child abuse in its training and did not have those materials in its collaboration tools. So again, who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the company, or are you going to believe this person, this whistleblower, for lack of a better term, who says she's seen the spreadsheets of the content? And again, that goes back to the, okay, somebody's parents are involved in this content, and this whistleblower, I forget her name, but she turned over the spreadsheets and stuff to the FBI. So something's going to come out of this, whether or not, I hate to say that, whether or not we care enough, that's a totally different thing. Are we going to care enough? I asked this question before, every time TikTok get in trouble. Are we going to stop using TikTok? Because you know what would change their attitude quick, fast, in a hurry? If we deleted the app and deleted our accounts. But is that going to happen? No? Question mark?
Well, you know what? There is no more Vine. Vine went away. I don't know if MySpace is all the way gone, but it's not used anymore. I think they're shut down or darn near close to it. So who knows? I mean, it's possible that we actually as as a populace decide this is not the thing for us anymore and we move away from it. It has happened to ginormous companies before, but TikTok is the most trafficked website on the internet. It's a little different than some of these other ones that have gone by.